Hey everyone, I'm Jay Shear, and welcome to this episode of Business Minds Coffee Chat. The goal of this show is to share insights, help to lift and inspire others, and deliver relevant, meaningful, and actionable content. Connections are powerful. You've probably heard the saying, your network is your net worth. How are you marketing yourself and telling your story? Do prospective customers know how incredible you are? Why should people connect, engage, and do business with you? Today's guest has built a thriving business, helping professionals answer these questions, build their personal brand, and much more. He's a multipreneur, a two-time book author, online e-course designer, LinkedIn coach, trainer, an evangelist who teaches personal brand marketing to professional practitioners, companies, firms, baby boomers, and entrepreneurs. Please welcome the founder of Connect to Collaborate and the man who helps others be amazinger, Marc Halpert.
Thanks, Jay. My mother would be so proud to hear you say that.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. So let's dive right in, Marc. Would you share with us first where your story begins, and at what point did you discover your purpose, and also touch on why you do what you do?
Oh boy, got an hour? Here we go. First of all, I'm an escapee from corporate America. I worked there way too long. Worked for a lot of people who did not know the value of connectivity, the value of networking. And so I kept trying to speak at presentations and conferences and write articles, and they kept squashing me down. No, that doesn't add to the bottom line. No, 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 no. And it was almost uniform. It's very hard for me because I am rather outgoing. I am rather vocal. I love to write. I love to talk. I love an audience like everybody else who's an entrepreneur. I probably was an entrepreneur while I was working for somebody else. And then the company I was at was bought out by another company. And they said to me, you can move to the Netherlands or you can leave. And I chose to leave. But just before that, we had unearthed some really interesting technology no one had ever done before. I took that. They said it was okay for me. I ran with it. And that's an electronic payments business. I am a multipreneur. I have two businesses under electronic payments. One is e-payments for for-profit businesses, and the other is e-payments for not-for-profits. I don't want to go into that. That's not the topic here. But the other thing is in 2007, when that business got real slow, when the economy got really, really slow, an old colleague of mine who I met in my training when I learned the e-payments business called me up and he says, there's this thing called LinkedIn. You really ought to look at it. Okay, fine. I had already joined it. I always, I did a little bit on it, but not much. He said, no, Marc, you're not getting it. Those Rolodexes you have on your desk, and I don't have to show anybody what a Rolodex. Google it. You'll see if you don't know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
Those Rolodex, I had a good guy Rolodex, the ones that I was constantly using. I had a middle guy Rolodex, the ones that I was sort of using every so often. And I had the Lost Souls Rolodex. And the Lost Souls were getting bigger and bigger because people were moving around a lot. Businesses were exploding. They were imploding. People were moving. And I lost track of people. And he said, now this is how you're going to find people if you go to LinkedIn. And sure enough, he was right. I started finding people I had lost a long time ago, people I had treasured, nurtured. They nurtured me. We came through the same sort of training. We had the same thing together. And I started reaching out to them, hoping they could refer me to people because I'm all about the referral. You earn the referral. Your network is your net worth. I say that all the time. You and I are, kindred souls here. The loosest, weakest link in the chain makes your net worth bad. You have a bad stock in your portfolio. It makes everything come down with it. It's this type of thing that you have to keep everything moving, all the parts going at the same time. Some will go faster than others, but you keep them all on the up, on the positive side. So I went back to LinkedIn. I started going to classes on LinkedIn. I realized that as I was listening to answers to questions that people were asking the teachers on LinkedIn, they didn't really know the answer. And I did. I was sitting in this class saying, why am I paying for this? Why am I not on the other side? Why don't I get paid to teach people how to use LinkedIn? It fit really nicely into the piece of my personality as an entrepreneur, new entrepreneur, that I really wanted to help other people do and learn the things that I love doing because I see the value in it. And I started teaching it, and I started coaching it, and I started speaking professionally. And then books came and online e-courses came. This is the way it generates the interest, and it allows you to have a new voice box. So there's a very quick little answer to a beautiful question. Thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing. So let's go back for just a moment. So you leave the corporate world, you become an entrepreneur for the first time, you start a new business. First of all, talk about that entrepreneurial leap, if you will. So share with us what that was like for you, if you can go back and recall what that felt like. And then also the client acquisition side. So LinkedIn, you're familiar with it, but you're trying to also get others excited about it and be able to take advantage of your coaching and your training abilities. What was the client acquisition piece like for you originally?
Let's go back to when I first started my business, 2001. How about September 7th, 2001? 2 days later, the world came to an end. For a year thereafter, the world did nothing. We were licking our wounds. In the middle of trying to have anybody see me, anybody just take my time, please, hear me, take my phone call, one woman said to me, you got a really cool product. This is electronic payments. Put yourself back to 01. No one was doing electronic payments online, and it was very scary. It was a wild, wild west out there. She said to me, you got something really good. I'm going to give you a name of somebody. You contact that person. Of course I did. And you know what? They gave me a name, and they gave me a name, and then I got some business. And then they referred me to other businesses because I had something that nobody else really had. I have the fire in my belly to make other clients happy in customer service, which is pitiful right now. So you don't get an 800 number when you have a problem getting paid. You get me on my cell phone number. That was a promise I made to all my clients 19 years ago, and I still follow that promise. Mm-hmm. I got a phone call on Sunday night. Okay, this is what we're all about. This is why I got into this. I'm going on vacation very often, and that cell phone is in my back pocket wherever I go, and it rings while I'm on vacation. So the first few weeks, months, years of my entrepreneurial life was very solitary, very lonely. I was used to a big bustling corporation where people were coming to me because they needed something I had, something I could do for them, something I could do for them. I would go to them. It was a two-way street. No one was coming to me. It was really scary. And I figured I had made the biggest mistake in my career. And yeah, I'd get back into it. But who can get back into it when 9/11 happened and no one's hiring? Right. And then when it got bad again, 07, no one's hiring. So look, I just had a way of deciding that I can do it, and I want to put my mind to it, and I will do it, and do it really well, better than anybody else, amazinger than the competition, to my term you used. I'll use it again. I also decided that I had to have a unique value proposition, which I do, and I articulate to my clients. It is that you will get me advocating for you every which way. Just did that this afternoon. There's something going on with a client. They need help. I had to go to management, senior management at the processors that I use or at the companies that I use and advocate on their behalf because I make it my business to know the right decision makers, not the underlings, the 800 number of people who can't do anything. They serve a purpose, don't get me wrong. But when you need a fast answer and you need to cut and run and you need to convince somebody that your client is your primary client centricity, then I go and advocate for the client. So clients like that because they're used to bad service and they're used to being pushed down or being told, no, convince me otherwise. I say, I will go and I will either stay on the phone with you until we get resolution if I need them on the phone, or I'll take care of it and get back to you in a day. And we do that. And I've aligned myself with vendors who get that mentality because I can choose any vendor I want to use, and I've chosen the best vendors. Makes me better, makes the client happy, keeps them in cash, and everybody's loving each other. That's a good thing.
It is. Love that. Yeah, that's incredible. So I want to talk for a moment about the power of connection. So when we opened the show, I mentioned that and about the strength of your network. In full disclosure, Marc and I actually met through a common connection, but I want to tell I'd love Marc to share a small world story about connections and what can happen when you connect with one another on LinkedIn. So Marc, do you mind sharing very briefly the story of how we met or reconnected?
Well, it's quick and it's easy, and that it is my personal practice that before I ever call anybody for the first time on the phone or ever Zoom with anybody for the first time, I've read their entire LinkedIn profile. I knew where you came from. I suspected I knew where you came from. I didn't realize how close to me you came from. So we are both from Richmond, Virginia. I saw where you went to school. I hear the twang in your voice. You've never lost it. I have. And I asked the bald question, hey, you're from Richmond. Where are you from? And you said, I'm from this street. And I said, ha, that's really funny. I was from 1 block away. And I never met you. My brother knows your sister. But I know your family. My family knows your family, on and on. And the world is a very small place. New York City is a very small town, and I live outside of New York. I love connecting people and hearing how people know each other and how I can learn to find the people I need through the people I trust. It's fascinating. So that's how you and I got together. It's how Rob introduced the two of us. Thank you, Rob. It's how all of this works because we much rather connect serious business connections through people we know and vetted and trusted and trust, present tense, than just anybody. And this is why one of my big bugaboos on LinkedIn is you should only connect to people you know and have done business with and have vetted and they have proven themselves. Start paring away the people you never met. So I don't typically connect to somebody and then have that intro phone call. I don't go on a date with somebody I haven't met yet. I don't do blind dates. This is, I want to get to know you to the point where I like you. If I like you, I will connect with you. I will nurture you. You will nurture me back. Then we fall into love where I love you enough to refer you to somebody else. My name and reputation is on the line, just like yours is.
Yeah, that's really interesting, Marc, because I would say that is counter to what I see a lot of others doing and just accepting anyone that reaches out to connect with you on LinkedIn. And I'm not sure if the thought behind that is the larger my network is, the more opportunity there is for me. But I will say this, I've certainly made some mistakes in the past on LinkedIn. And I found that as soon as I connect with someone that I really don't know, within a minute, I get some sort of message or email, buy this, sign up for this class. And of course, those individuals know nothing about me. They know nothing about my needs. We've not had any type of rapport relationship. So I hear you loud and clear on what you're saying there, but I think it's interesting because, again, it isn't the approach that everyone takes.
Well, there are 3 classes of inbound, I'll call it that. Inbound with the boilerplate, boring, I'm a boring person, I want a boring connection, please connect to me, I'm lonely. I don't connect to lonely. I don't need that. The other is I'll write you a nice note and I'll tell you exactly what I want and it's completely tailored to somebody else. Did you really mean to send it to me? So those 2 get a rejection. The first one gets an automatic rejection. I will just ignore. The second one, I might write them back a note. Once in a while, in their note to me, inbound, there is something that could be interesting. I will review their LinkedIn profile. I might just have a phone call with them or a Zoom session or whatever it is to see how they're what it's about. And I will very honestly at the end say, there's something here, or, there's nothing here. I just want you to know where you stand. And I write them a nice note. Thank you very much. But my policy is to only connect to people I have learned to vet in business, and this does not qualify, and I thank you for that. If you'd like to follow me to see my thoughts, to see my blog, to see my writings, to see what I'm up to, I welcome that. And I have a lot of followers. That's okay. But there's nothing there that somebody I don't know can go into my profile and they can see my connections and they can start poaching my connections or they can start badgering my connections. So it's like somebody comes to your door, your house, and they ring the bell and you say, come on in. I'd love to have you in. Now, what do? I don't do that. I don't get that. So it's just wrong. And the third type is, I know Jay. Jay suggested I speak to you. We do this in common. I could use some help on that. That's great. That's the type of thing I'd like. That's the vast minority of what I get. So it is what it is. It's 690 million people, and about 645 million people of them are really lonely souls, and it's really sad.
Well, terrific advice, and I appreciate you sharing that. So who is your ideal client then?
I do niche work in LinkedIn. I love law firms, lawyers, whether they're solos or in small, middle-sized firms or in large firms. If they are paid to market their services, they need to have a robust LinkedIn profile. Nonprofit professionals, counterintuitive. Nonprofits don't need business, right? Wrong. They really need business right now. They need more eyes on the prize. They need more people to understand what is the mission, what is the intent, and if one person in the nonprofit is a weak link in the chain, the whole nonprofit suffers as a result. So my book on you, us, them is you as an individual, us as a group, and them, the other people who are bringing gifts and money and talent and expertise and knowledge to the organization. Everybody needs to be on an even playing field and understand each other. If you have one person that's out of sync with the others, it's a mess. It just doesn't come across well. And nonprofits have a bad reputation of being a little messed up in their marketing. This helps them crystallize their marketing, just in their personal brand marketing. I love baby boomers, especially baby boomers who are right now underemployed. Not unemployed necessarily, underutilized for their capabilities. The 69-year-old, I use this as an example, the 69-year-old paralegal who used to work in a law firm for 39 years suddenly is let go. She's too expensive for benefits. The firm has shrunk, and she is a deer in the headlights looking like, oh God, what do I do? I haven't been in the job search market since paper. This is a vast new world for her. These are the type of people I love to work with because I am a boomer. I teach them how to think like a technology-loving boomer and stop being the deer in the headlights and head forward and on all fours, because they're competing with 23-year-olds for the same jobs who can dance circles around them electronically. I love medical practitioners who are sick of the medical practice. This is not what they signed up for, and they want to get into business or they want to go into consulting. I love entrepreneurs. I love entrepreneurs who want to do better and don't know how to talk about themselves. And all of them don't know how to talk about themselves because we as children growing up, we're told, don't talk about yourself. You'll sound egotistical, full of yourself, whatever the adjective was of the decade that you were being raised, that stuck in everybody's minds. And those 23-year-olds right now, they're talking about themselves like crazy. And we have to compete with them. So I niche out things. Every year I have a new niche, and I absolutely love it. So lawyers, nonprofits, boomers, medical practitioners, entrepreneurs, all of them, and everybody in between. I have done everything from epidemiologists to exterminators. And seriously, I had this epidemiologist said, this is great. I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum from the exterminator I had a year ago. This is too funny. So I'm having a ball with it, and I never intend to stop because I keep meeting fascinating people who I just help express their fascination. It's so cool.
Yeah, love that. Well, we must change, we must adapt, and we must innovate in order to survive and thrive. So with that said, how are you processing what's happening in the world today, and how has your business, Marc, been impacted?
When the pandemic started a few months ago, I started talking to people and Zooming with new people, lots of new people. I made it my business to get to know lots and lots of new people while we're all housebound. We all have more time. We're less stressed. Well, I'd like to think we're less stressed if we're home. There is a huge amount of stress, and I'm not discounting that, but it is much easier to join Zoom networking groups now and not have to drive to Brooklyn. I can jump into Brooklyn through Zoom, and I can meet all these Brooklyn people or these Long Island people or these people all over the country or all over the world. And we can pair off into, hey, let's have a virtual coffee. And I can select the ones that I want and decide how we can work with each other. I had one with a LinkedIn coach, as I was telling you earlier, in your area in Florida. This morning, we found we were kindred spirits in many, many ways. She'll write a piece in my blog. I'll write a piece in her newsletter. So we're off to nurturing each other. So this was a good meeting in a half an hour. That's all you got to do. Half an hour, you figure out if you have the connection. So I started saying early on in the pandemic, you better be out there networking your butt off like crazy, marketing your butt off, because now's the time to build the market experience, the market recognition, so that when we come out of this, you are well prepared to fly when everybody else who didn't do this, didn't take advantage of it, are thinking, oh God, what do we do now? Now we have to market. But you're 6 months ahead of them already. And maybe you'll go more than 6 months. So you're constantly moving this forward. This is an opportunity. I think, was it Winston Churchill said, pick your crisis, but pick the right crisis, or something like that, which only he could say. This is the crisis to pick, and pick the right way to work within the crisis. Don't get disturbed. Don't get downward looking or too inward looking. Be real, be relevant, be open to new opportunity.
Great advice. So in your practice, what are some of the things that you see that we are doing wrong on LinkedIn?
Another hour?
So if you could maybe highlight 2 or 3 key things that you see repeatedly that we are just not doing well.
All right. First of all, this is like all over the place. Your LinkedIn profile looks like your resume. That is wrong. Dead wrong. This is your narrative. You have to use the pronoun I and a good, solid business class verb to express who you are today, where you came from, makes you who you are today, and who you are today and where you're going in your future. Past, present, future, I pronoun, power verb. Google 185 power verbs. You'll find a wonderful website there. It's designed for people writing the resume, but it's just very, very good for people writing their LinkedIn profile. You have to talk about yourself. You have to talk about the value you add, the help you provide, what's in it for the reader, in short paragraphs, again, all starting with I and verb, and that are easy to read, and you have to plan what you're going to say so that it reads like a novel. I will not get to chapter 5 unless I fell in love with chapters 1 through 4. Don't bring me in on chapter 5 because I'm not going to read that chapter. I'm going to say, I'm confused, I'm out of here. And when people leave your LinkedIn profile, if they're not calling you, they're never coming back. So you have to give them the call to action and re-express the themes of your profile, of your career, of your narrative, that in different ways so that they get it, maybe not the first time, maybe not the second time, because we're all a little brain dead right now, but third and fourth, and they begin to see the way the pattern falls. They have to like you enough to fall in love with you, to call you. The rest is up to you. I can't help you once they call you. But while you're looking at them on LinkedIn and they're calling you, they're probably looking at you. You have to create the groundwork for them to have a good conversation or good interview or good something. If you're lame, you have a terrible LinkedIn profile, you're going to have a terrible conversation. There's no room for terrible right now.
Good stuff. Wow.
I don't want to sound real negative because a lot of people are just dying to say it and they don't know how to say it. They need a coach to free them up. It's like your high school basketball coach or your high school hockey coach or whatever. You sort of knew a little bit. You just needed somebody to say, come on, you can do it. Do a little hard, work harder. And I was telling a guy today, he's got 46 years of experience and he's writing his profile and it's boring and he's fascinating. So it has to reflect your personality. It has to be fun. People want to read something interesting.
Excellent. Well, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it because I'm sure that when I go to look at my LinkedIn profile, there's some things that I can tighten up on, and I'm probably going to need to call you about that at a future date.
Bring it on. The best thing that happens after one of my sessions is somebody emails me back and says, oh my God, I looked at my LinkedIn profile and I was horrified. Have I ever got work to do? And I get this all the time. That tells me I had an effect. And I love that. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, Marc, what are you optimistic about right now?
I'm really optimistic about the fact that business people are all supporting each other in very, very personal ways. It's some emotional support, it's some business support, it's a lot of intellectual support. There's so many people to learn from out there, and we're all dying to talk about ourselves. So let's talk about ourselves in a way that we can help each other. I'm also optimistic about the fact that we can do more electronically than we can do personally, and it's a much better use of time. In the old days, if you used to say, I'll Skype you, and you say, oh, I don't want to Skype. That's a waste of time. Now I'll Zoom you. Oh, yeah, bring it on. Let's Zoom all day long. I mean, we are doing that. Yeah, there's Zoom fatigue, and yeah, I suffer from that as well. But I don't have to go all over the world to teach. I can teach from this wonderful little office I have in the comfort of my home without the anxiety of travel and all that stuff. That's a great thing because you're getting me, you're getting what's in here without having to wear me out to get there and home again. So I'm not wasting time on the road. And look, let's face it, business travel is not sexy. It is not fun. It hasn't been for decades. So I'm anxious. I'm enthusiastic about the fact that people are stretching in ways they never wanted to or thought they had to, but by necessity, they've learned to stretch. The introverts are becoming more extroverted. They're never going to be fully extroverts, but they realize they just can't sit on a Zoom call and wait for somebody to call on them. They have to be ready to speak. These chat rooms that we create, these conversation rooms in Zoom, we put people of disparate backgrounds and they have to get along. That's a good thing.
Yes.
You've never had to do that. And so it creates all sorts of skills that we don't even realize we have as a result of having to do it.
Excellent. So before I ask my last question to you, where can we go to engage with and learn more about you, be able to consume your fantastic content, buy your books, and hopefully look at hiring you as a coach?
All right, let's take where to find me. collaborate.com is my website. There you will find my blog. You will find audio, video interviews with me. You'll find some of my writings. You'll find a lot of stuff there. It's sort of a blog and website combined for my LinkedIn business. If you want to know all about me, peel the onion back, let's keep get more of that stuff together. That's going to be on linkedin.com/in/Marc, M-A-R-C, Halpert, H-A-L-P-E-R-T. You can find me. You can find everything I do there. That is my my mini website, my macro whatever I do. I blog every business day. It is available for free. Anybody has an email box, you get it at 8 a.m. Mark your watch by my blog coming to your inbox. 8 a.m. Boom, it's out. I write them in advance. They are real life stories about things that have happened to me or things that I hear that need to be addressed. And they all have a LinkedIn twist. And some Fridays, I have a guest blogger. I have a guest blogger this Friday and for the next 2 Fridays. So that's cool stuff. You'll get to see some really good people there. And finally, my books, go to Amazon. Look for Marc Halpert, M-A-R-C, H-A-L-P-E-R-T as an author. My 2 books are there. My e-courses are on my website. I just keep going and going. I'm working on another e-course right now for college graduates because they didn't get any LinkedIn training in college because they had to leave suddenly. And I'm working with another guy in Colorado on that. And I'm working on maybe a television show with one of the guys we mentioned a little while ago about people like you, to have you as a guest, and we're just going to see where that goes because he and I, we just riff on each other. We just have so much fun. So
outstanding.
My second edition of my first book is coming out with the American Bar Association. So I'm constant motion. I'm just giving back.
I love it. Have lots of different balls up in the air, plenty of opportunities to continue to serve and provide value to the marketplace. And definitely for those that are watching, reach out to Marc, learn more about him, go to the resources that he just mentioned and sign up for that, for the blog. You will not be disappointed and you will always learn something that you can apply and that you can use to help you tell a better story. So here's my final question to you. What are the top 2 to 3 lessons that you've learned from failure that have had the greatest impact on you?
Funny, I've been prepared for this by the conversation I had previous to this, to talking to you. The other woman and I, when we were talking, we both agreed we are where the buck stops. And when you mess up, you own it and you pay for it. And I do pay for it. And I will admit, I do make some mistakes. In the heat of the battle, I have said things or done things or left things out of a proposal, which I wish I hadn't. But I don't say, well, I need to revise that. That's not cool. So I eat it. That's fine. And I keep moving on. And I learn from my mistakes. Another thing that I do is you get 110% of me whenever I'm talking to you. I'm not the type of person who says, hold on, I got to take this call. Do you mind? I'll call you back. I don't do that. I don't appreciate when somebody does that to me. I find that they must not be listening or they don't care. And why am I wasting my time with you? I could be doing something else. So I am giving you 110% of me no matter what. You give me 49%, I'll give you more back. That's all I ask. Give me something, I give you more back. My tagline is, we exceed expectations. We're told that a lot. Unfortunately, expectations are rather low, so it's not a high bar to reach, but I get people telling me all the time, man, I came in here, I got swamped with stuff I never expected to learn. I have so much to do. As I said, somebody tells me all the time. I love that. I know that I'm having an effect. So when I haven't had an effect, or somebody writes back to me and says, you were not clear about something, I clarify it. And I tell everybody who was in the session, the question came up, maybe it wasn't clear to you, let's go and let's expand this a little bit more. So on my own nickel, I'm telling people more that they need to know. So we're not perfect. I get that. And LinkedIn's changing all the time. And there's never a finished product in me or in LinkedIn or my client. And we're all moving on this spectrum, on this continuum together. So let's enjoy it.
Wonderful. Thank you. And Marc, thank you so very much for joining us today. I greatly appreciate it. I value the relationship that we're building. It's been 50 years since we lived in the same area, but it is great to connect and really learn more about you and how you serve. And thank you so very much for sharing with our community today.
Well, thanks a lot for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And for the rest of you, thank you so very much for watching. If you found value in this episode, you know what to do. Go ahead and like and share with your friends. And until next time, stay healthy and optimistic. Keep learning and growing and making new connections. And remember that transformative change in your life and business begins with you, and nothing happens until you take action. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Business Minds Coffee Chat.